Hello, everyone. My name is Olivia. I'm 47 years old, and this is one of the most unbelievable stories I've ever experienced. Even now, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it, but I can't stop replaying the events in my mind.
Sometimes, for reasons I can't explain, I blow on my ice cream before eating it. I once chopped a spray paint can in half with an axe. Even though I was old enough to know better, my cousin and I convinced ourselves it was a good idea. My mom always said, 1 kid, 1 brain, 2 kids, no brains. And she was absolutely right. I was stained yellow for an entire week. I got my head stuck in the back of one of our dining chairs. It took nearly an hour, and my grandpa had to butter me up to get it out. I did the same thing with the staircase banister. Safe to say, I was not a bright child. In 4th grade, when the teacher asked a math question, I raised my hand and yelled, "Poop." I have no idea why I did it, but it earned me a week of detention. I attempted to extinguish a candle by covering it with a tissue. I stuck my finger into a handheld blender and turned it on, thinking I could stop the blades from spinning. I couldn't, and it shredded my finger. I was 21. I put my hand into a bowl of soup, purely because I never had before. I once told my roommate I was going out of town, but instead hid under his bed for 5 hours, just to scare him later that night. I boiled some pasta, then poured both the noodles and the water straight down the drain. While packing for a trip, I completely forgot to put the last suitcase in the car. It sat on the sidewalk for the entire 2 days I was gone. My brothers and I used to tie ropes to each other and run in opposite directions. We did the same with trees. Once, I tried to bungee jump from a tree using a regular rope. It hurt. While at my mom's friend's house, I grabbed some scissors and tested how much pressure was needed to cut a lamp's cord while it was still plugged in. Turns out, not much. I jumped up to bite the string used to pull down the attic door. It had a metal bead on it. I succeeded in biting it, but immediately realized I'd broken half of my front tooth instead of the string. As my best man later joked at my wedding, the attic string went fishing for idiots and caught one. Remember those old cigarette lighters in cars? My family doesn't smoke, but when I was younger, I pressed one in, waited for it to pop out, and pulled it out to inspect it. The coils didn't look red hot, so I tested it by sticking it on my tongue. While riding in the back seat of a friend's car, I opened the door and rolled out while the car was moving down the street. My dad had a glass cutter with a diamond tip, so I decided to test its amazing cutting power, like I'd seen in cartoons, by carving a circle into the glass of our garage door window. The scar is still there 36 years later. I discovered my knack for carefully picking up bugs without hurting them when I was 5 or 6. To test my skills, I collected 44 ants, some dirt, and created an ant colony in my room, under my bed. I found a piece of pink seaweed and decided to put it in my purse to take home. Sometimes I put on my shoes and then climb into bed. I went to a cafe, ordered a large coffee, and, without a lid, placed it directly into my purse. While driving to a restaurant, we wanted to check the wait time, My dad handed me the phone book and told me to look up the number. For some reason, I thought he said, "Get rid of this," so I rolled down the window and threw it out while we were speeding down the highway at 70 mph. That happened over a decade ago, and I still get teased about it. When I was a child, I threw my ballet slippers into a toilet I just peed in. I can't explain why I did it. Then I ran crying hysterically to my mom, who couldn't figure out what was wrong through my sobbing. To this day, I still have no clue why I felt compelled to do it. I snorted a line of powdered instant ramen seasoning. As a little kid, I woke up before everyone else, went to the kitchen, grabbed a chair, and used it to reach the top of the fridge. There I found a tiny metal pencil sharpener. For some reason, I decided it would be a good idea to try sharpening my pinky finger. I ended up bleeding everywhere and waking my parents. During a traffic stop, I tried to act normal, but accidentally handed the police officer $50 instead of my driver's license. At age 5, I wanted to see if black pepper made you sneeze like it does in cartoons. So, I shoved a whole peppercorn up my nose. It burned horribly. I bit into a bar of soap. I sprayed hairspray directly onto a lamp while it was turned on. The bulb exploded, and when my parents asked what had happened, I claimed I had no idea. Has anyone else tried jumping down an entire flight of stairs thinking they could make it? I did it when I was 4. As a kid, I went into my parents' bathroom, found my dad's razor, and decided to scrape it across my entire tongue. I immediately started screaming from the pain. When I was 10, I saw a magic trick where you soak a dollar bill in rubbing alcohol, set it on fire, and the alcohol burns off while leaving the bill unharmed. One day, while home alone, I soaked the $20 my mom left me to order food and lit it. Instead of staying intact, it turned to ash instantly. Yesterday, I was using a nail gun to work on the trim around my windows. Out of sheer curiosity, I decided to see what would happen if I shot a penny. The nail ricocheted, flew past my head, and ended up in the refrigerator behind me. That was a close call. Someone asked me for the time, and I instinctively lifted my wrist to check my watch. While doing so, I accidentally poured the iced tea I was holding all over my lap. I wasn't wearing a watch. In fact, I've never even owned one. When I was about 8 years old, I picked up some pink cotton candy from the ground while walking out of school and put it in my mouth. It wasn't candy, it was insulation. I microwaved a pen for 2 minutes at work. I still don't know why I did it. For reference, it was a Pilot friction pen. When the ink smoke cleared, I panicked and ran across the street to Lowe's, where I bought the exact same microwave as a replacement. No one ever found out, and I still work at the same job. I threw a plastic bottle at a ceiling fan. It bounced off and hit me square in the forehead. I once tried picking someone's pocket just to see if I could do it unnoticed. I managed to pull it off and put the wallet back, but it was the stupidest thing I've ever done. If I'd gotten caught, it could have ended very badly. This might not be the dumbest thing I've done, but it's fresh in my mind. While alone in my office with the door shut, I stood up, knocked on the door, and then opened it to walk into the hallway. I wondered what would happen if I pedaled my bike as fast as possible and then hit the brakes hard. The answer? I slammed my crotch into the handlebars and flew several meters onto the asphalt.